Hello guys, welcome to AWPE Skill Acquisition screencast. Today we're going to be looking at Memory Model 2, and this is looking at Craik and Lockhart and the levels of processing. Now this is a much shorter theory than we did last time, and in fact the key kind of focus of this model is basically to oppose the multi-store model of memory. Now if we looked at the multi-store model of memory, it consisted of the short-term sensory store, short-term memory, the long-term memory. The key focus on the multi-store model of memory is how we store information, how we move it to the long-term memory. So it's kind of the capacity of it. So we had that unlimited information, filtered via selective attention, storing 5 to 9 pieces of information, and then by practicing encoding, that will take our information into a long-term memory. So that's what the multi-store model proposed. The levels of processing model basically says rather than how we store it, we're going to look more specifically, or they're going to look more specifically, on what you do with the information and what it is with that information that allows it to be stored in the long-term memory. This is the key bit I've underlined here that you would need to make a note on, okay, is kind of, you might just say the function of the levels of processing model basically looks at this. How deeply we process information dictates how long the memory lasts. So it's the depth of processing. So what we're looking at, and I can move it onto here, the depth of processing, you will understand. If something means something to you, you're way more likely to remember it than if somebody just tells you something. If they tell you why they've told you what they've told you, it'll be way easier for you to kind of stick that in your long-term memory. So if you have a look over to here, the model proposed that there's 3 levels that you process information, and if you want it to be at the very highest level and you want to remember it in the long-term memory, this is the chain that you would go through. Okay, you consider it, you understand it, and it has real meaning that you can relate to your own experiences. That is when things are memorized. However, these are the 3 levels then. The first level, and this is obviously your Cornell notes, Craik and Lockhart's level of processing model, 3 levels that you process. The lowest level is when we process something structurally. Okay, so what this is basically what words or look like. Okay, so the most basic level, what words look like, and it's very shallow. Okay, so that'll be your first key thing there. Phonetic processing, if anybody does English, it's kind of what things sound like. So you understand what things sound like, and again, it's very superficial. So what we've got here, that is shallow as well. So the way that people explain something, you understand how it sounds and what it consists of. However, the highest level of processing is the semantic processing, and this is looking at kind of what words mean. Okay, so actually understanding the kind of the underpinning of why somebody is saying something, and this then is the deepest level of processing, meaning this is the most likely to be stored in your long-term memory for the longest. If it's structural or phonetic, less likely. Semantic is way more likely. So if you have a look on here, how do we apply this to sports skills, which obviously that you're going to be concerned with, is a tuck position. I'll put here as an example, tuck position in the somersault in gymnastics. Now, if a coach said to someone, practicing a somersault, right, you need to do a tuck position, shows them a tuck position, so that he's demonstrated it, so they can actually see it, so the structural side of it there, then he might tell them how to do it. That's the phonetic side. However, in order to it to be really deep, the coach must explain why the tuck position is such an important component of the somersault. So that then, a tuck position, a somersault, will allow a faster rotation speed. So therefore, the person who's doing that somersault will then realise, yes, they're telling me to do a tuck when I do a somersault. However, the reason why I'm doing it is because I'll rotate faster. If I rotate faster, I'm more likely to do a successful and efficient somersault. And, you look at this is kind of linked to obviously sport, but in terms of education, you look at this kind of processing model. I've really, really tried to make it relevant to you, that kind of every time you do a lesson content, within kind of 6 to 8 hours, you should have sent an email back that has forced you to use your memory, is forced to mean something. Now, the reason why you do that is because, I'm asking you to do this because you're 80% more likely to memorize something into your long-term memory if you've practiced it within 6, 8, 12 hours. And secondly, it means something to you. You've actually made it either as a mnemonic, an acronym, or there is something that you have had to make your brain work and struggle. So, there's a lot of theory behind what I'm asking you to do for homeworks, and hopefully when that comes to end of week, end of month, when you're practicing these things, it will start to help you when you're getting your results at end of unit tests. Okay, so that's the key thing. We need our Craik and Lockhart model. Okay, it isn't actually a physical model. I've just put it onto here here so you can see the three components: structural, phonetic, semantic. Okay, make sure you have a description for each of these, and make sure you understand that the shallow here, and then you've got the semantic, which is the key one, which is the deep thought or the deep processing. Make sure you can link it to support an example. Yeah, okay, so get your notes done on that, and I'll see you next lesson.